Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you. Oop, I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator, and I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the healings, the blessings, and the wisdom of the universe. And a note there. Hey, Marie. Hello, 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 hello. Blessings and prayers sent your way. This discussion for tonight is I hope everyone is well in their part of the world, wherever you may be. And I know there's a lot of craziness that goes on in the world. Hi, Chloe. Blessings to you. Cosmic hugs all the way around. There's a lot of strife and chaos and craziness in this world. We don't need anything extra, right? But, and I listened to people and discussions and things, and Breaking Dawn and I were talking about this after I did the live stream last night. And I wrote it down and decided I would discuss it tonight. Give me 24 hours to, kind of mull over the topic a little bit more. But I don't think anything really enlightening came within the last 24 hours. Hello, Ian. But so let me start out about this. What hive mind? Now, what I'm finding out is, hello, Michelle, blessings, everybody. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who have their own version of what a hive mind is. So I want to start this discussion off with, okay, let's consider hive mind. Now, first off, you think hive, you think beehive, you think ants, you think, some kind of small critter. Well, as a naturalist and someone who is an observer in life and of life, I've noticed that when an ant leaves the little ant hill and goes off on his own looking for stuff, they come in my house. I've been fighting these buggers for the last 38 years here on this property. So I'm not necessarily become an ant expert, but so hello, ultraviolet blessings. Much love, absolutely, to the tribe. But in watching the ants, if the queen, if this hive mind theory, if the queen was in control of all these ants, it would be like this multiple powered being thing, right? But it's not. The ants go out and they find food. When they find something, they turn around, hightail it back down their little ant trail that they leave and talk to the other ants. Okay, now some would say, well, that isn't that Borg like, like in Star Trek, the Borg. Okay, let's toss this out there. Now, and I've seen, I guess, most of the Star Trek, but the ones with the Borg and so forth, and when Picard became part of it and all that. Hello, David Castle. Greetings to you, everyone, as well. Passing it along. And continued blessings to everybody. But to the point, though, that if the Borg may have been connected to a central processor or a single point, if you will, each of the Borg had their own individual little task to do. So we think, well, it's hive mind. Well, wait a minute, though. But those Borg didn't notice anybody else walking by because they were so fixed in their own task. Well, a hive mind, to me, is like everybody is connected to one thing and nobody does anything without permission of. So my thought about the hive mind. Now, is this more, let's bring in this idea of what is collective thinking. Well, we here with this tribe we're part of the group of like-minded beings, right? We've all pretty much accepted that. We're the tribe, And so in that, though, we think a lot alike in a lot of ways, but each one of us is an individual and goes down their individual path. but we all want love and light and harmony, and we're working for the good side. So, with that said, well, but is that hive minded thinking? Could somebody on the other side, say, wait a minute, you all, meaning us, we're part of the hive mind? Because I'm always speaking about accept the wisdom from the universe, from the quantum. I don't say quantum every time, but I'm assuming, it's the quantum, it's that big quantum computer out there in the universe. So, we can access it anytime. Well, wait a minute now. Would somebody on the outside listening into our conversation, would they say, well, hang on here, Hawkeye, or Mr. Null, who do you think you are? Um, aren't you all part of this hive mind? You're trying to connect with the universe. Well, if the universe is doing this one thinking, isn't the universe a hive-minded kind of thought? Hmm. Or is it collective thinking? We all go our own separate little ways and live our own lives. And boy, Bob, here's some coffee. Let's all say hi to Bob. Michelle, Chloe, David Castle, Ultraviolet Flame, Marie, as always, blessings. If I missed anybody. Oh, Tree of Life. Hi, you just popped on. Blessings. Whether you're not you participate, it's just nice to know that y'all are out there. And we all send our love back to you guys. And but so with that though, but from an outside observer, like for example, a Catholic person who's grown up with doing the Catholic Mass like I have, you look at the Hindus and are all chanting and doing bells and humming and meditating, cross-legged and burning incense, which Catholics burn incense too, and candles, but they look at it a totally different way. Those people are heathens. They're wackos. They're nut jobs. Those Hindus and them guys who do that stuff. Wait a minute now. So who's to say? Well, all them Hindu people. They're all. They're part of like a Hindu hive. That people draw all kinds of. Crazy conclusions. And I've known people who were like, them Catholics, them Catholics. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm used to be a Catholic, but explain to me, what do you mean? Oh, them Catholics, they do this witchcraft stuff and change a piece of bread into the body of Jesus, and then everybody goes around and eats it. And I'm like, well, sorta, yeah, you know, but from another person's point of view, that's creepy and bad, and I have to agree that I stepped away from it myself. But what does this have to do with the collective versus the hive mind? Well, the Pope, if you don't think like the Pope, is that hive minded? All Catholics must think this way, or is it a collective? Well, a collective means you and me talk about it. In it from my viewpoint. So a hive mind has got somebody that's like the chief doodader. Now, I believe that in any organization of a bunch of folk, you got to have representatives, and you got to have in true terms. I've been involved with debate teams and that type of thing. And there should always be a president. Now, the president mostly is just the person who like breaks ties, with voting and make sure that the Robert rules of order are followed and protocol is done. And but and I don't mean the president of the United States, but president of organizations and things. They suggest stuff, but it's the council and all the other folks. He's the chairman of the group. I agree that there needs to be a chairman of anything, but collective thinking means that everybody has a voice. Now, to me, a hive mind means you don't really get a voice. Here are the rules, and everybody follows them. Now, to the part about bees, for example. Now, I've studied bees, and near Moultrie is one of the few aviaries that I know, meaning and apiaries, excuse me, not aviary, apiaries. They raise bees, and you can get beehives and things. Anyway, so I've studied bees years ago and worked with some folks who had beehives. And so it's like the worker bees, they get instructions, but they fly off sometimes miles from the hive and collect their stuff, and do their thing. And so they're on their own personal journey. Now there are the drone workers inside. They're the ones that are making the comb. And then there are the ones that are attending the queen. And then there are the guys at the door. Okay. They're the bouncers. They're the guards, and if a bee comes back and if they're in the wrong hive, they will literally attack this bee if he tries to get in, and they'll kill it, throw it out. So, it's like, okay, so, but within a bunch of hives, so every hive has its own queen, but all of the bees do the same kind of things. They go out, collect pollen. So it's like there's a hierarchy of it. But is the queen really in charge? No, not in that sense. It's the order of thing. It's actually the collective thinking of the bees, because they all agree, like, if a bee ever bits you, there's 10 other bees on you, or a wasp. Oh my God. If one bites you, they know where you are. They somehow, the wasp that bites you, or hornet or whatever. Oh my God, being bit by a hornet. Holy crap, that hurts. It'll leave a mark, I'll tell you. But they tell all the other hornets, and they know, like, boom. And they're like, wow, how did they get there so fast? I mean, whoa. Um, so it's like, but is that of a hive mind, or is that of a really high collective thinking? They all have the choice, but they choose to go help or whatever, stings, whatever, anyway. So, in this hive mind, let's bring this forward to human beings and you and me and stuff. And let's take, for example, I've worked for many large corporations, and I've worked as an engineer inside. I'm in the office. I've worked out on the floor with machinery and peoples and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So now you've got the hierarchy of the company. Doesn't matter what the company is. The guys in the higher uppity muck, they go out and they get the jobs, and they bid out stuff and do this and that, which most of the rest of the plant don't even know about. But they send out bids and this and that and the other thing, and they do paperwork. They get jobs. In other words, we're making parts for something, so they find somebody that needs the parts, right? So when they do so, they all get together and say, okay, we've made this contract up with this group, and we need to make these certain parts, and they want them by this time. And so it's like, all right, so they come up with this hive mind that here's the target date, these are the parts they need. They're gonna get mailed, sent, shipped, whatever. It's gonna cost this much. We're gonna do it like this, and blah 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 blah. Well, then they tell the rest of us in the plant, oh, guess what? You have to make 10,000 of these by Friday, and they have to be shipped and sent and so forth. No, it's up to the rest of us to do what the hive mind says. You will do this. Here's your task. And we will fire you, beat you, dock your hours or whatever, if you don't help us succeed with this task. But it's the collective of the workers within the plant who's like, hey, Joe, you do this. If I do this a little faster, we can get this done a little quicker and still, do a good job. And we'll blah, 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 blah. And we won't work ourselves to death. We won't have to stay over on Wednesday and Thursday. And, my son's got a baseball game. And so, it's life. But the higher muckety mucks in the office or whatever, they've made this decision, and all they do is look out their window and see everybody else doing what they expect. So, all right, that's my example in manufacturing. Anywhere you go, it's that way. Okay. Even making hamburgers, people come in, you're going to have so much stock up. And the managers, and was an assistant manager of a hamburger place many years ago, like a McDonald's kind of thing. It wasn't, but anyway. So, but and being a carny for all these years, the inside thing. But so you have to know what your stock is, and you have to know what this is. But your workers are the ones that actually make it, produce it, run the cash register, and make sure that it gets done. You can't do everything all the time, especially when you're doing something like that. So, whatever it is that you're producing, is it collective thinking or is it hive mind? The hive mind is the managerial side because the hive mind says, we are going to sell hamburgers. We're going to do it this way. You're going to wear your little paper hat and you're going to smile at the customers. That's the hive mind. But between the people on the line and whoever's flipping, serving, and whatever, that's collective thinking. Hey, Joe, hand me that. Okay, plus toss. And you get the job done at the end of the day. So in my world, in my way of thinking, the hive mind is not just bees or ants or something like that, because the queen can't control them all. Take a peek, take a look. And so when people think of the Borg and all this other kind of stuff, yeah, there was a central controlling Borg or something, but there were several Borg ships. But so each one had their own collective, but each one of the Borg had their own part. So was it really hive mind? Or was there more collective thinking, depending on how you want to look at this? So, but anyway, so with this discussion about this, the hive mind, I would consider that, if I were looking in on us and everybody said, okay, it was full moon last night, I did a video. Okay, let's all meditate on something. I was so tempted to let's pick a subject and meditate on it. And I thought, no, y'all can pick your own and meditate and use the energy of the moon and it's it's really strong tonight as well. Wow. And it's beautiful outside, even though we've got some clouds moving in again, but it's really nice down here right now. Beautiful night outside earlier anyway, before we did this. But anyway, so to keep this, so the idea though, that as I'm contemplating collective, we all think a particular way, versus hive mind, you will do it this way. So collective, free will. Hive mind, not free will. Now it may be as simple as that. In that a hive mind, you don't have a choice at all. But I would submit, when a worker bee leaves the hive and flies off, he doesn't have a GPS, and the queen goes, you will go to these coordinates and pick pollen and return. You understand, worker 47333259? Yes, ma'am. Salute, and off he flies. No, I don't think it's like that. But so each of the bees has their own independence. They can fly around and pick whatever flowers and gather stuff and then go back. Okay. It's their free will and their choice. But they're under instructions through pheromones and bees being bees. They want to go home to mama, to the queen. They want to go home. Anything wrong with that? No. Human beings, a lot of critters want to go home in the evenings, so is that really hive-minded? You see what I'm saying? So when people try to put the hive-minded thinking, what do they mean? Do they mean a centrally controlled collective, or do they mean somebody like us? We get together, and right now I'm the spokesperson because I'm doing the video, but that doesn't make me the person who's in charge. I'm doing this because I think this needs to have a discussion about this. But so I'm a moderator, nothing more, bringing up the topic, pointing out certain things. It's up to the individual to make up their mind. So I could say, okay, worker bees, well, let's all meditate on this one thing. But I would rather say, we all want peace in this world. Find a way for you to pray for it. Find a way for you to use your energies. Yes, I think it's very important for us to all be collective and say a common prayer. I do. Every evening when I do a video, I close with a prayer and I mean it sincerely every time I do it. Not to get brownie points in the universe or to make anybody seem no, I sincerely mean it, and I wish to convey that to the universe every single time. So, and that's my intent. I got to follow through with that. Otherwise, I'm goofing up. I'm not doing my job correctly from my invisible my invisible table of contents. Truth in me. Hi, Chloe. Scratch if I didn't say hi. David Castle. Cold, yucky rain the last 4 or 5 days here. I missed the sun. We had sun today, and we actually need more rain. So I'd swap with some of y'all. But now to stay on topic with this, and I don't mean to ever beat any of these subjects into the ground, but one needs to stop and before someone else, they try to push this. Well, that's hive mind thinking. Ex- just ask them very calmly and with respect. What do you mean by that, please? Just please explain yourself. Because maybe it's not really hive minded. Maybe it's a bunch of people working together for one particular thing. Isn't that a collective? Well, all these hundreds of people would go to work at the same place every day, but they all went back to their homes. You know what I mean? They didn't stay there and be part of the thing. Hive minded to me would be like military. You go home to the barracks. You're there. If anything happens, boom, they blow the bugle, and everybody rushes to save, to attack the other, whoever's attacking the soldiers. You know what I mean? So if there's hive mind, wouldn't we say that it's the military? Because, brother, you step out of line, they'll throw you in the brig, you'll get shot, you'll get whatever, depending on, that thing. So isn't the military actually the hive mind? What? Because you don't have a free will. You will do it this way. Now, ain't that hive mind? Or is that like um, uh, uh, king queen crap? You know what I mean? Delaney, how are you? Good to see all of y'all in the chat and coagulating together. But so with my discussion with this is like, let's hang on. So with our own thought pattern, I can't make. I'm not here to make you say, well, this is what I think is okay. If that's your point of view, I'm good with it. If that's how you think. But there are many different levels to this. And there are those people who use those terms. Well, that's hive minded, and that's blah 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 blah. When uh Bama Wildlife, hi, how are you? Blessings. But so I'm being that cantankerous old man and saying, hang on just a second. I, I might go along with you, but explain yourself when you use these terms because you may be actually not using that term correctly. It may be that that's a collective thinking, not hive minded, because there is a difference. Oh, but there will be people who will argue, that, hey, it's got to be like this way or that way. Does it? Collective thinking, we still have the choice, the freedom of choice to go, well, your point of view, I kind of see it, but I'm not really with it. And we have the choice for dialogue. But with a hive mind, there is no dialogue. Understand that. So when somebody is trying to push this, what their viewpoint of hive mind, ask yourself a question. Does whatever they're selling you, does anybody have any freedom of choice? Bees do. Worker bees, they fly off in any direction. Ants, they go off in any direction. They help each other when they find something, da 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 da, and off, oh, I found some sugar, everybody runs, that's a collective. That's not hive minded. The hive mind is that we must save the queen because she's the one that's, but we're working as a group together. Hmm. So, what do they mean by hive minded? You know what I mean? Is it a high, short bunch of folks like in a manufacturing plant or something where there are the engineers and the guys at the top and the president and the CEO and they make these and then there's everybody else. But if it weren't for everybody else, them guys wouldn't have a job because it's the collective thinking of them worker bee people who communicate with each other, not necessarily with management. I've been the go-between management and the floor before, and let me tell you, I have stood up for the people on the manufacturing side and going, "You people are asking too much of these folks. They can't get this done. There ain't enough time. What did you sell?" And then you want the rest of us to make good for. You guys should pay for this one, not us. We needed another 10 days, blah, blah, blah. But to my point, so that's Stalinistic. You will do what I say. Now, there is no free will in that. But the collective thinking, well, now we can all want peace, but how we achieve it can be totally different. We agreed that we should all eat healthy. How we get there, it's totally different. But at least we can agree on the basic things. Whereas from a hive mind, you don't get a choice. This is the rules. This is how it is. This is the military. These are the laws. And that's it, dude. Or dudette. You got no other choice. There is no free will. Well, you do. You can break the rules or not follow them, which is breaking them, I guess, and suffer the consequences, whatever they may be. And sometimes in nature, you're dead. I mean, there are other bees will jump on your ass. Other ants will jump on you and sting you, kill you, and carry you off and throw you off to the side. So, and in with human nature, sometimes it's just as brutal. Unfortunately, we're supposed to be smarter than that. But within ape communities, they'll pick on one, beat it to death, and then turn around and eat it. Like, what? Just saying. But so this idea, though, of hive mind, what about a group of monkeys? What about fish? They swim in schools. They do that. I can't remember the name of it. Like, when you see bats or birds who do the flying thing and they all do this, it's really amazing when you watch it. But so is that hive minded? Each fish has his own choice to swim wherever the hell he wants. Same thing with the bird. But are they flying in a collective in a whatever, you know what I mean? Oh, but that's hive minded. Is it? Do any of those birds have the choice to like break ranks and fly over here? Yeah. If it was a hive mind, from my point of view, mind you, from the way they try to sell it to us, that the birds don't have a choice, or the ants don't have a choice, or the bees don't have a choice, or pick your whatever don't have a choice. And I'm saying, yes, they do. Just look at nature. They do have choices. They make individual choices. So I just want to. I'm bringing this up because nobody else does. Well, that's hive minded, and I'm thinking, not really. No, that's a collective thinking with a big giant figurehead. you know, insert phallic joke here. But the idea would be though that wait a minute. We all need the chairman of the board. We all need somebody to wrap the gavel and go, okay, calm down, everybody. There's got to be a grown up in the room. But we're open for dialogue. We're open for the collective thought process. But within a hive mind, mind that cannot, will not exist. If it's true, the way these other folks try to present it to you and me is my point of view. I mean, that's my point about this. I'm watching a program. Well, that's all hive minded. And I'm going, I don't get it, but I see what they're trying to sell. But I think in my mind, I've studied nature and all these things, and that what they're trying to sell me doesn't fit the true pattern to me of what a hive mind should be. So when you're threatened with it, you know, somebody says, "Well, that's hive-minded thinking," or you're watching a program or whatever, I would invite you to just stop and go, "Anybody got free will in that?" And if so, then maybe it's not quite hive-minded. Maybe whoever's trying to sell it to you, for whatever reason, they're using their own terminology about what they mean by it. So not everything is hive-minded, even within a hive or an ant column or whatever. Just saying. Okay. Tree of life. Exhausting in reverberating the vibration in which the universe is creating, and also putting forth the vibration into or the harmony and frequency of the revolutions in which we create. That's in a roundabout way. Um, Scratch says forced indoctrination. Yeah, Chloe, I have social anxiety weirdness. Hey, Brandy, blessings there. Um, yeah, I hated school until I figured out that I really needed school, and it was because they made me go. When I wanted to learn, I went back to school, and school was just fine. But anyway, all perceptive then. Listen, everything is from your own perspective. That's one thing in this grand scheme of shamanism, learning, the whole universe. You got to understand that it's from your point of view that you perceive something. Nobody else is going to look at it quite the way you do or I do. We can be very close. We're all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, but how we receive it, get there, interpret it is our own personal journey, which thumbs up, kudos, cheers. Yes, because each one of us has learned, grown up in a different way. I mean, me and my brother and sister grew up in the same household, but we don't have the same point of view. Have the same parents, went to the same schools mostly, but no, we don't have the same point of views. Similar, but not. And so you can grow up in the same house, same family, and still not, for whatever reason. So it doesn't matter, but it's from your perspective, though. Everything, your perspective has a lot to do with from this point anywhere forward. Going backwards, it's already done. So there are times when, well, this evening I was working on a project outside, and the woods will come and overtake stuff really quick. And then last year I had the woods come in and just overtake a lot of stuff, covered things up, and just man, it's been a mess trying to clean it back up. But so I'm out back earlier this evening, and I'm like, I've been here before, literally putting up the brick and fixing the thing and cutting the weeds back. And I'm like, and I saw somebody standing there, but it was a past sort of a deja vu. But it was my mind thinking, wow, I did this with my friend years ago, and here I am doing this again. And so, but it was an odd one of those maybe sliding sideways things like I was trying to discuss last night. It had a very poor trying to explain what I meant about the whole thing. But anyway, but this idea of the hive mind and so forth, we have to be able to disassemble what the other people are trying to sell us in whatever it is they're trying to talk about. Well, it's this, well, it's that. Well, hive mind is this. Is it really? But I think that the military is probably the best, in my opinion, the best example of hive mind because you don't have a choice without a crap load of consequences. Whereas if you're working for a company, you can choose not to go to work or get up and leave early. You have a choice. Now, of course, there are those indentured servants and slaves and so forth. Not talking about, I'm just talking about normal everyday, go to work, do your home. So, but in that, it's a collective. Now, I am all for the collective. Absolutely. Let's keep this, the League of Like Minded Beings going. Kudos, everybody. Cheers. Keep up the good work. But remember, if somebody else is trying to convince you about, well, this is hive minded or that's hive, or they may perceive what you and I are our participation right now. Well, Mr. Dave, he's trying to be the leader of some kind of weird cult. He's trying to tell everybody about collective thinking and oh my God, and the quantum and yeah, okay. Um, but if they didn't understand, and from their standpoint, oh my God, we're a bunch of flaky weirdos. Stay away from them people. They've got collective thinking. Holy crap. Isn't that interesting? So, but see, I say that because from someone's point of view, from someone else's perspective, from their own observations, we're the weirdos when we look at them and go, yeah, that person ain't tied too tight. Somebody didn't wrap that package just right, you know what I mean? Uh, uh, a couple of cards short of a deck, to be nice about it. But we know folks like that, but they're the ones who will turn around and insist we're the bad guys. It's our fault. We're the weirdos, and they're the ones who would blame it on that we are belong to the hive mind. They're the ones who would say, "Well, this collective thinking that's like hive mind stuff, isn't it?" No, because with a hive mind, there is no choice. That's the difference. And so if you see a bumblebee making his own choice to go turn left or turn right or go straight ahead, he's left that hive and is on his own journey. For a collective, he's literally collecting pollen. But you follow what I'm saying? So we go to our jobs. I mean, I went to my job every day, years and years, and day in, day out, blah, 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 for the collective. If I didn't go and work on a machine, then my friends who worked and produced the product, they were going to have to work overtime and everything was going to snowball back. We were going to miss the deadline. We were going to miss the shipment. We were going to lose money on the thingy. So, yeah, you felt compelled to go not because the boss told me to, but because all my friends worked there and my responsibility. So there's a lot of other stuff in this collective thinking than there is in hive mind. The hive mind is I will do it, the master says so. But that's again from my point of view, my perspective. Somebody else looks at what I'm talking about right now, and I'm the one that's nuts from their point of view. So, we always have to understand this. So I try my best not to project onto you my point of view, but always show you there's always another something. There's another point of view in here. There's always another side to this story, and I always leave it up to you all to make your own choice. I mean, I don't say, hey, if you don't believe what Hawkeye says, you all are I would never do that. Now, I have stated a few times that if you think along some of them crazy lines, you may fit in that ballpark and you don't belong here. but you know what I mean about that. But everybody's got their own way of thinking. Everybody's got their own perspective. Everybody's got their own opinion, just like buttholes. We all got them, and you put two folks together and you make asses out of ourselves, kind of thing. Anyway, but so I remain a member of the League of Like-Minded Beings. I remain a member of the total collective, especially with the good thoughts and with the prayers and the peace, and you all and those folks who think like we do, in that we wish peace upon people, not harm. You know, um, the list. I don't need to go through that all. But so for those of us who believe this way, are we being controlled by the Creator? I stopped and had to look at it from that point of view. Is the Creator, is God putting down his whatever, and or their, her, him, them, putting their will down upon us to do this collective thinking and to pretend that actually it's collective thinking, but it's really hive minded because we're following the universal thingy. You know what I mean? And I'm saying, nah, you know why? Because Creator gave us all a free choice, a free will to make our own choices. I have the choice. We all do. So in that, I say to those folks who may say that, well, isn't the Creator that like the leader of your cult here? Well, isn't God over the Catholics or the Christians? Isn't he like, the leader of your like religious group over here? Um, and if you don't do what God says, don't you get smoten and all that kind of stuff, and struck by lightning and plagued and eaten by locusts and stuff? I mean, that's pretty bad, severe punishment, right? So are religions hive-minded? Because you have to follow a certain thing. Now, of course, I don't want to go steal from people, and the last thing I want to do is kill anybody or hurt anybody. So it's like, I don't know what else. I could covet something maybe, and like, wow, I really wish I had a car like that. But is that is that really a sin? It depends on how far you carry it. But to the point of this, though, this hive-minded thinking, though, somebody else in another religion looks at the other guy and says, "You're that's wrong." I mean, Seventh-day Adventist taught me about the Catholic Church in ways and gave me another point of view. And to be honest, I had to stop and listen. And I looked and turned and said, "Y'all got a point. Y'all got a good point there." Hmm. Now, whether I still had the choice whether to believe them or not, but from their point of view, things look fishy, and they are fishy because the Pope, you do what he says or you're out, right? If you don't follow the doctrine, you're out of there. Well, isn't that really high-minded? As far as if you want to be a part of their group, right? If you wish to be a part of any of the religions, that's one of the things about the gay marriage thing. They want to be married in the church. If the church rules say no, then go find another church or start one of your own. I'm not against the marriage thing or the gay marriage or whatever. That's not my point. But I am against the point that if a church says these are our rules and we're going to stick by them, and then people who turn around and go, well, you should break the rules because of us. Look at me. Look at us. We're gay and we want to get married in the church. Sorry, but the rules say no. And I'm fine. I don't want to go to your church then because you don't aspire to my beliefs. But these people who continuously want to go on about this, the church, go to with like-minded collective folks who agree with your point of view. You get your ministers, you get your folks, and fine. But if you're trying to change all the other religions who have these rules, then I'm saying you're batty and stop it. Just quit, stop that behavior. It makes you look bad. Oh, but I want to get married in this church. Is they got rules? Well, I don't care. I'm gay and I want to get married wherever I say because I'm free. And no, nah. You don't change. Everybody don't change because of you. Sorry, nobody changes for Dave. I have to accept the world as it is and play along. If I wanted to do a certain thing and they said, I'd say, okay, fine. And I go find another place. So anyway, I don't want to get up on a tangent on that. But the thing is that in this hive minded thing, there's almost like this. There's some collectives that I'm kind of wondering if they're not ruled by some hive mind because they can't get off certain task tangents or whatever. And it's like, go to a church where you can. I'm all for you getting married, but I'm against you trying to change every damn church's rules. I'm against that. Sorry. Stop it. Quit making yourself look like a moron. A lot of other ways to do things. But they're just looking, look at me, look at me, look at me. So is that a collective thinking though? I don't know. There are some folks, and I know folks kind of close in, and I have my arguments with them. I'm all for their free rights, but the way they try to shove it on everybody else, I'm against it. As a hippie, I never forced anybody else to believe in my hippiedom. I just was a hippie and did my hippiedom stuff, and everybody either liked it, disliked it, or that was that. I didn't try to force my hippiedom on anybody. Well, you have to live like me. I dug my own well. I crawled down in a hole and dug it with a shovel. I did this, I did that. What other people say, screw that. I wouldn't have wasted my time on that kind of thing. Fine. But so I chose to live hippiedom because that's what he looks like a hippie. Okay, fine. But to the point though, I don't try to make everybody else believe my way of thinking. I just do the best I can and try to present a good image as possible, even though it's weird and on the. Okay, fine. I'm not in everybody else's mold, but I don't try to make everybody else think the way I do either. You know what I'm saying? So we have a free choice. But with some of these folks, I don't know. It almost seems like they've tuned into a wicked station. And I have, I won't say it, but just someone close in who's just being absolutely retarded. I'm sorry. Take that back. Acting like a baboon. I'm sorry, but baboons act better than this person that I know. And it appalls me. And they're intelligent. They're supposed to be smart. And serve time in the service. And I just want to go, who taught you? You're not my relative. I'm sorry, but anyway. And I want to help. I can't change their point of view and their perspective, and I don't know where it's coming from. But anyway, but there are certain collectives that I'm wondering if they're not tuned into some hive mind control, in that if I don't get my way about like the gay marriage in a church, if it's the church's rules, just I'm sorry, go, but they insist on it and they wish to change everybody. They want to push it on this. Listen, I don't care what your race, color, creed, or sexual orientation is. Don't care. But are you? But are you a wanker? Are you just somebody that likes to disrupt people and havoc and mayhem all the time? And you want to use your sexuality to beat people up with it so that then that way you can get away with it. You know what I mean? Anyway, I know that's a little off topic, But there is a collective sometimes, and that is sort of on topic in that there's certain folk out there that in this way of thinking, well, yeah, they got to accept me. I'm going to wear a purple nose ring and I work at IHOP and I want everybody to accept me in my purple nose ring. And if they say a word, I'm going to sue what? Because you want, you want to wear a purple nose ring. What about the rest of us that have to flip and look at it? You get to wear it. We got to look at it. Just saying. So you have the right to wear it. Do I have the right to say, I don't want to be served by you? Take the nose ring out. It's a little off putting. I don't care what you do in your own time, but when I come into a restaurant, I don't want this nose ring hanging from down. And you go, man, take your order, sir. No, I really don't. And I'm an old hippie. I don't care about certain things, but some things are just gross, but we just have to accept them. I mean, old hippies even would go, wow, man, let me put my hair back, let me run a brush through my beard. I mean, they would at least try to make a little bit of appearance where some people now are being so outrageous with their collective thinking. And I got to say, sometimes I think it's a little over the top, but that holy crap, you know, okie dokie, just a modicum of honor and respect to other people. We're the ones that have to look at that stuff, you know? When I was out in public doing puppet shows and things, do I really care what people thought of me or whatever? Well, yeah, I want to put a nice image. So I always wore black clothes. Well, it also, as a puppeteer, it helps you to disappear from the audience with the puppets. But also, I didn't have to try to look good in any way. I was the same. I wore black trousers and I wore a black shirt, sometimes different styles, long sleeve shirt, whatever. But I always presented myself as clean and nice as possible to the public. Even though I was still a hippie dude, going out in public, I wanted to be presentable so that they would hire me and allow me to do puppet shows. So these people that want to participate in the real world should respect us, is sort of where I'm heading with that one. But anyway, with this hive mind collective thinking, though, so there is this collected thinking of some of these folks that it's like, you must accept me. Now, as a hippie, I didn't try to force myself. I just lived the way I lived, and that was that. Well, how come you won't do that? Well, I'm more of a vegetarian. I'd like rather have that. I'm not into hunting and doing this and that and blah, blah, blah. So, my point of view, but I didn't, my wanting to force everybody to live like me or think in my way of thinking, where these other folks will get on there and demand that you take their point of view. And if you don't think like me, then you're the one that's wrong. Make up your own decision is for me, but if you think that I'm trying to get everybody to think my way is, hey, let's all think peaceably. Wait a minute though. That might be hive mind. Crap. Or is it collective thinking? I don't know. Or, it, does the devil have anything to do with this? Well, there are some evil, wicked, mean, and bad, nasty energies out there. And I think that are swaying some of these people in the collective thought process. Okay. And in some ways, because I mean, some of these folks are my relatives, and I look at them and I go, where did you get that? I'm sorry. Where did you pick this up? How did you get injected with however you're looking at this? Because you didn't get it from any of us. Because we look at each other and go, did you teach her that? No, not me. Did you? Nope. How about her? Nope. Did you? Nope. Didn't get it from me. And we all look at each other, and trust me, if it was our fault, we'd raise our hand and go, well, I think it may have been me. But